the British sponsored the professionalization of the army. A lot of research was done, leading to the enactment of the UPDF Act that they are now seeking to change. White paper was written, they had meetings. You remember one time, it must have been Andrew Mwenda who reported about those meetings where the generals were standing on table, quarreling over. So eventually the UPDF Act is done. At that time, providing for units and so on and so forth. But I think this one was replacing either the Army Act, something like that.
Yes.
So the yeah. In one of the meetings of the High Command in Entebbe, at that time the Joint Chief of Staff, I think must have been Robert Rusoke, Brigadier, and as they are concluding this process, whose aim was to build a professional army, discipline, Museveni tells them that I am creating a special force. Rusoke, I am told by the senior officers who were in the meeting, told him, sir, that will undermine everything that we have done. Everywhere you have an elite sort of a force within a force, like the Republican Guards in Iraq, in Iran and elsewhere, you're creating two standards. And Museveni, after his long lecture, he said, anyway, I was just giving information that we'll have a special force. And eventually the special force, Museveni's protection unity became the special force, growing from 500 when he had just captured power to a brigade, to a division, to now numbers that nobody knows. And I have been complaining because SFC has been operating illegally. They, just for people who are listening, one time when they were doing the organogram of the army, they put the CDF, and then below him put the commanders of the forces, the Air Force and the Land Force, and put SFC. I asked Chiyonga, who was the minister, to tell me, because you had now elevated the SFC to a level of Land Force and Air Force. I asked him the legal status. He said, okay, we'll go and consult and come back. I never came back. So and that brings me, that background was important to bring me to a point that I want to make. That there has always been a desire by Museveni to create an army within an army. And he kept saying it. I remember the Honorable Salam Musuma was chairing a committee on presidential. They went to meet Mr. Museveni in Soroti during the time of Konye. And he told them that, in fact, starting from the beginning, he used to call the UPDF Saleh's army and his army. Then he told them that your army has failed. Now I have deployed my army. Konye is going to be finished. You can ask Salam Musuma and those who are serving on the committee on presidential. So he has always wanted to create an army within an army. I think now he has emerged. So there is only now one army, his army. The one of Saleh, and your army has eventually now been retired. It is now the Museveni army with his son in command. So the point I want to make, Oscar, before I answer the question you asked, is that a lot of money was spent in professionalization of UPDF. There was an attempt to build a national army. That has now gone away. It's gone up in flame. What you now have is a Museveni army, the Saleh army and UPDF is gone. And the worst thing is that Museveni does things different. Even when he's doing bad things, he doesn't do them recklessly. He leaves room to doubt whether it is him or not. Now his army he has handed over to his son, who thinks that to be a leader you must be like Kagame, who tweets that Kagame has killed more people than I have. I also need to begin killing to match up with my uncle.
Has he actually said that?
He has. Didn't you read that tweet?
No.
He said Kagame had killed over and said, I want to kill more. But is there anything that Muhoozi cannot tweet, Oscar, for you even to ask whether he has tweeted it? Is there anything? So this bill,
he has published today that he wants to tweet you. So
it's okay.
I'm your protector.
So the because Museveni has been doing two things: assembling a political infrastructure that creates some false hope, but also building an army for both regional but also internal to do politics. Now, the political infrastructure is slowly being replaced by the military. So the decision is under Muhoozi, not these NRM caucuses, the dome was going to Chankwas, all that nonsense is going to stop. So the rush now, first, there are two things. You have parliament, the 4 years of parliament, we are ending our 4th year, and there are usually ceremonies and so on and so forth. Budget, state of national address, but also the campaign itself. So everything that you want to do now, you want to rush it before these things begin. So, in fact, I am surprised that they delayed. They were supposed to have passed this long ago. There is NRM caucus in Entebbe on Monday, because some of the MPs are also uncomfortable because they know Museveni. I've told people Museveni is like a lion. When he's angry, he will eat anything around him. So sometimes you think it is Ssemujju, but Ssemujju is in Chazanga. If it is you around, you will be the one to be devoured by Museveni. So the rush is partly because of that. But also, I think Museveni looks now at Parliament as a machine. When you switch it off, so you don't have to waste your time, because he doesn't think that MPs are going to read this law and pass it because they have understood it. They are going to pass it because he has switched them on. So you guys pass my law.
Let's go to
Oscar here. Is very important. Mr. Museveni, even at the beginning of this parliament, he was persuading NRM MPs to change the constitution to remove bail. In the meetings they had with him, some of them, by the way, spoke very well and forcefully. They told him under the constitution, you are the only one who cannot be arrested. All of us are candidates. We are therefore not going to allow you to remove bail, and then you begin, and God is very good. Within a few months, you had NRM MPs arrested that they were soliciting money during budget processing. One of them actually who spoke forcefully before Museveni, I'm not even sure whether Museveni was not revenging on him. The Honorable Akamba. He gets arrested. After getting arrested, court grants him bail, and is grabbed by the people who are in civilian. Later Museveni said he's the one who had ordered. And I think it was very good that the NRM MPs got to be treated that way. Can you imagine Lukutana going to court asking bail, and he says, the way I see the weather outside. The weather outside is not. I am not going to process bail. The clouds were. Yes, I'm not going to process bail. So on that occasion, the NRM, but the point I'm making, Oscar, is that the context is that Museveni doesn't want bail given. So if he doesn't want bail given, these courts are under immense pressure to give bail. So the only court that is not under pressure is the military court. And then two, he was accusing these ordinary courts of delays. And he wanted to create an alternative justice where they try you very quickly. Like basically you were supposed to have been tried in 2 weeks and sentenced to death. Since then, when they told them you transfer the file to civilian court, they don't have evidence. We were in a car when they were applying, we need BSJ's phone to begin collecting evidence. So which means in court martial, they did not need evidence. They were just going to convict him. So that context must, because that's the intention. Sometimes I'm told in courts of law, even the intention of the framers becomes part of the processing. The judges will look at the intention. What was the intention?